At this time, it's my pleasure to bring forth a young man who is going to share his own personal story, his own personal testimony. And on top of everything else that you've already seen and heard, I want you to really take what he's saying and just really absorb it. I bring to you Donnie Wright.
Good evening. You have to forgive me, that was a little emotional for me. I gotta regroup. How many of you think you can identify a drug addict? Raise your hand. I'm a drug addict. What I'm saying is that it's very difficult to put a label on someone. It's very difficult to look at someone and know that they're suffering from the disease of addiction, whether it be alcohol, heroin, cocaine, food, gambling, and some of the other isms that affect us as human beings. Me personally, I started using drugs when I was 7 years old. My first drug bust was when I was in the 7th grade by the DEA. I've had 7 cocaine overdoses, and I've overdosed 3 times from heroin. You may ask me, why did I start using drugs in the first place? It's a good question. I got an answer for you. I was in pain. When I was 6 years old, my mother and father got divorced. I was the baby. My mother took me with her, separated me from my brothers and sisters who went with my father. And it was a difficult time for me. I didn't quite understand what was really going on. I just knew mommy and daddy wasn't together anymore. And there was a lot of pain there for me. Didn't know how to deal with it. Everybody in here has a bathroom, right? What's in your medicine cabinet? Do you know? My parents didn't pay attention to that. That's how I got started, from the medicine cabinet. Those pretty little boxes, the blue and white and green and orange, the white one with the red top with my favorite little pill in it. When my mother used to say, I used to go to my mother and my father, Mommy, can I have $1? Yeah, go in my pocketbook, go in my purse, get $1, get some change. But there were pills in there too. So every time I went in there and got a little change, got a few pills for myself and my friends. My father was a functional alcoholic, God rest his soul. He used to have wild parties, and all my aunts and uncles and his friends used to come by, and he had a big grapevine in the backyard, and we would make grape wine, and, he'd make moonshine, and, and I was the beer boy. I loved that job. All my uncles, go to the refrigerator, get me a beer, boy. I sure will. And I got a few for my friends, too. The wine, the Johnny Walker Red, the Johnny Walker Black, the Scotch, the whiskey. I didn't like the taste of that whiskey. It's kind of strong, but it still made me feel good, so I drank it anyway. Before I went to school, I drank, I smoked, I popped pills. During the recess, lunch, break, I drank, I smoked, I popped pills. I've done every drug that you can imagine. Mescaline, THC, LSD, goes on and on and on. What I can tell you from 30 years of drug addiction is that just say no is just not enough. I said no a lot, and then I said yes. No seems to lose its power. Because drug addiction is a spiritual disease. It's threefold, they say. I say it's fourfold. It's emotional, it's physical, it's mental, but most importantly, it's spiritual. When you put that needle in your vein, You are pumping the devil into your soul, and he takes complete control, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can go to church. I've had my parents, they loved me. They went and brought priests into the home. Father Lupo used to come and put oil on my head. My mother, she tried everything to help me, but she couldn't help me, but she tried. She took me everywhere, priests, pastors, doctors, all these things on earth that man had couldn't help me. Couldn't help me. I need a spiritual cure for spiritual disease. I didn't know that then, but I know it now. The thing about drug addiction is that people underestimate its power. And people say, well, why don't you just stop? You just don't understand. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. Drug addiction takes complete control of your thoughts, your actions, and your life. You don't care about the next person. You definitely don't care about yourself. The only thing that you truly care about is how am I going to get my next high? It's compulsive. It's obsessive. And you cannot stop on your own. So what happened to me? Well, it's a really sad story. I used to walk the streets with no shoes. I sold the clothes off my back for drugs. I sold a $10,000 car to a drug dealer for $150 worth of drugs. So why am I putting my life out here for everyone to judge me and say, whoa, you did that? You know why? Because it helps me to be well. I really don't care what you think. I'm here to help the young people, okay? Because I know about peer pressure. I know how difficult it is for them to walk away. Because what you have to understand is a bag of dope costs about $3. And I'm talking about pure. If you go into your local store, just try it. Go into a local store in your neighborhood, mostly minority neighborhoods, because when you go outside of our neighborhood, they don't have these products. I wonder why. They've got all kinds of inhalants. They have all kinds of chemicals that they're creating in labs to get our children hooked. They package them in pretty little packages to make them look appealing like candy. Like when we were growing up, you remember the little fake cigarettes that you used to walk around and pretend you were smoking? Well, drugs manufacturers have graduated and they have upped the game. And they realize that they can make money by putting people in chemical slavery, because that's what it is, chemical slavery. And they go into these labs and they come up with these chemicals and they put them in these products and they force feed them to us, disguised as something that isn't going to hurt you, but it's going to take complete control of your life. So what I'm saying is I'm here today because it's painful to tell people that, I was a bum, drug addict, an ex-felon, because you have to understand that drug leads you to prison. You can't afford a drug habit. You got to steal. You got to take things. You got to do things that you normally wouldn't do, things that are against the law, to be able to keep your habit going. So, although I didn't steal from people, I was the type of addict that I would work. I would wash people's cars for $1. I had to wash a lot of cars to get some drugs. When people know you're not doing well, they don't treat you so well. So they'll use you, they'll abuse you, So my whole thing in coming here today is to team up with Betty Laws, to team up with Dream Studios, to team up with Solo Productions, and use my story. Because you notice I said I was a drug addict. I'm not anymore. The debate comes in, how do you overcome drug addiction? That's where the debate comes in, because there really isn't a clear consensus on how one does that. And my philosophy is that, it's not a one size fits all. One thing may work for you, but it may not work for me. So what I'm saying is that basically we have to come together as a community and understand the dynamics of drug addiction, how the chemical mechanisms in the mind are working toward making someone staying in drug addiction. So I hope that you enjoyed what I had to say to you today. It was a wonderful presentation with Betty Laws. Thank you very much.